that there are people in our community that want betterment for ourselves, for our future of the generations of Salt Lake. So thank you so much to every single one of you. It means the world. It brings hope. My name is Christiansen. I'm a born and raised Utahn, a student at the University of Utah, an American proud to exercise my First Amendment right on these steps with you today. About 3 months ago, I started organizing this event to pay homage to the first Earth Day in 1970. This monumental event in history included 200 million people participating internationally, and alone in the US, 200 million people participated, accounting for about 10% of the population. We came together and advocated for change and to protect our natural resources. The first Earth Day was a huge leap towards the creation of the Environmental Protection Agency, which established the Clean Air Act, Clean Water Act, and removal of DDT from our agriculture systems, proving that social movements are powerful and we as a people can collectively come together, stand up, and demand change for our communities and the future generations. We have the power. This semester, I took a class called Global Sustainability. One day in class, I learned something that would shock me to my core and wake up the urgency in me to act now. I will share that fact with you today. Scientists believe that the planetary threshold of carbon dioxide in our atmosphere to sustain human life is 450 parts per million. Before the Industrial Revolution, the Earth contained about 280 parts per million in our atmosphere. Today, the amount of carbon dioxide in our atmosphere is currently 430 parts per million. Scientists claim that we will reach this threshold in about 22 years. However, every year this estimate drastically shortens due to the continuous increase of carbon dioxide that we emit into our air. This is terrifying. This is real, and it's happening within mine and your lifetime. This is happening now, and is only one of the many examples of the pressures we are facing. Now, how is it going to impact the next generations? How is it going to impact our families, our health, our futures? This is terrifying reality we must understand we live in today. It is our reality that we must demand change now for the future of civilization, for the future of our families, for the future of our health and happiness, for the future of the environment and the resources that give us life. I want you to understand the urgency to act now. I plead for you to understand this starts with you and your mindset. Look into how we operate and consume as a society. Educate yourselves on how we are impacting our environment, our home. Envision ways that we can better ourselves for the generations to come. Inspire others. This needs to start locally. Focus on Salt Lake City. Learn about the food, water, and air that we depend on to live and where they come from, who controls the quality of those resources, and who is protecting it for the people. Get involved with the local government and contact your representatives to advocate for your health and the longevity of Salt Lake City. Right now, our voices need to be heard more than ever. We live in a government that is trying to decrease regulations that protect our natural resources and our health. They are doing this to make money for the few at the cost of many. We must stand for ourselves because the time is now. The future of generations depends on it. Please stay up to date with what's currently happening with the Environmental Protection Agency. Lee Zeldin claims that these deregulations that might be imposed soon will not harm our communities, and that it couldn't be further from the truth. He only wants to do this and help big corporations while they get to increase their polluting into our air and water. Educate, advocate, and protect yourselves and the people you love. In March, when I decided that we as a community needed to come together and recognize our power to make change, that everyone individually has the power to inspire and create social movement, please enjoy and learn from this event. Take away the inspiration to make your voices heard and be the change we need. Take advice from the late and wise social activist, Gandhi. Be the change you want to see in the world. You can do it. I believe in you, and we need you. Peace and love, Salt Lake City. Thank you so much for being here, and enjoy the rest of the event. To introduce Sara Stone, the Executive Director of Wonderbloom Preschool, to talk with us today.
Good afternoon, everyone. Dr. Sara Stone, I've dedicated my life to caring for young children, and in the last decade, I've merged my two passions, early childhood development and environmental stewardship, when I founded Wonderbloom, a nonprofit, nature-based education for Utah's children. I want to start by telling you a story of my own environmental awakening at 12 years old. I grew up in rural Idaho, where recycling was not a part of my daily life. One day, a guest speaker came to our middle school library. I don't remember their name, but I do remember their message. They talked about how waste was harming our earth and how recycling could help. I left inspired. I went home and I asked my mom if we could start recycling. She wasn't sure how to do that in rural Idaho. We didn't have curbside pickup or anything, but she flipped through the yellow pages, and sure enough, she found a tiny little warehouse across town that would accept drop-off recycling. So I lined up all the containers in our kitchen. We had glass, aluminum, plastic, cardboard, and dropping off that first load of recycling felt so amazing to me as a 12-year-old. It bonded me emotionally to the natural world, and it shaped my willingness to protect it. There's a quote from a Senegalese conservationist, Baba Diom. We protect what we love. We love what we understand. We understand what we are taught. I'm going to say that one more time. We only protect what we love. We love what we understand, and we only understand what we are taught. Since you're here today, you already understand and love the earth. You love our red rocks and our mountain peaks in Utah. These are iconic and deeply meaningful places to us that need our protection. And here's a fact we need to share. Human activities are causing the world's 6th mass extinction at a rate 1,000 to 10,000 times faster than a natural extinction. Unlike previous extinctions on our planet, which were caused naturally by volcanoes or asteroids, this one is particularly human-made. This should sober all of us. Another fact, today's children spend 1 hour a week outdoors, but 40 hours a week on screens. They can recognize hundreds of corporate logos, but hardly any local plants and animals. That's right. This disconnection has real consequences. Higher anxiety in children, lower creativity, poor emotional regulation, higher rates of chronic illness. The antidote? Nature. Time in nature. Time spent in nature reverses all of this. In early childhood development, we know that a child's early attachment to a caregiver profoundly shapes their future relationships. So positive attachment creates security, resilience, and love, and negative attachment takes a lot more work to heal. The same is true with our Earth, our Mother Earth. If we want the next generation to care about the planet, we must first give them time to fall in love with it. Speaking of the next generation, I walked into my daughter's room just this last Thursday. She's furiously typing away. I asked her what she was doing. Oh, I'm writing an article about how children can save the earth. What, in your free time you're doing this? And she was asking me if I could submit it to some news publications, and I said sure, but first, I want you to come read part of that on Saturday at the rally. So here's my 12-year-old Lois to say a few words.
I care about the environment because it is beautiful. I love to find bugs and other organisms in my backyard and keep them as pets. When I was little, my mom had to set a boundary that there could not be live snails in the house. But I remember that I would sneak them in the house with a container and put them under my desk. That is how much I love their slimy little faces. Even now, I get so excited about finding them in my backyard. I also have had spiders, roly-polies, worms, and grasshoppers as pets as well. They are so fun to try to keep alive, but sadly, I have found less and less every year. I find a lot of trash in our gardens. I don't know where it came from. Pollution is bad. We throw away plastic and garbage that ends up in rivers, ponds, oceans, beaches, lakes, and waterfalls. It harms the ecosystem and its inhabitants. We can also get harmed by this too. When plastic fills the oceans, fish and other sea life eat it. Most of us like to eat fish. Since those fish have eaten microplastics in the oceans, we are now consuming the stuff we put there in the first place. Secondary succession is helping the ecosystem regain energy from the destruction we caused and the destruction from natural disasters. Secondary succession is an ecological process where the ecosystem is rebuilt after a habitat is destroyed. The earth is critical for our survival. We need to take care of it. If we keep this up, we will basically be living in a gigantic dumpster full of garbage. We have the power to change. We can start with simple actions, recycling, walking or biking whenever possible, planting trees and crops, and many more. Let's protect the only home we've ever known.
Give it up for Lois. I am not being facetious when I say she did that of her own free will, on her own, on her free time after school. She's so incredible. It's also not lost on me that my own environmental awakening happened when I was 12 years old, when I learned about recycling, and now I have a 12-year-old brave enough to speak at a rally. This is the power of giving children the chance to connect with nature. They will build their own relationship with the earth, and they will inspire great change. Now, what about us as adults? According to a poll in 2014, only 1% of Americans are very active in democracy. Look around. There's not even 1% of us here in Utah. But research also shows that we only need 3.5% of us to make political change. 3.5% of us. If each of us inspires 2 or 3 more people to engage in the political process of protecting our environment, we can make a real difference. Every day at Wonderbloom, I see children building bonds with the earth. They're playing in the dirt, naming bugs, watching seeds grow, and these small moments matter. I've spent my life advocating for children who can't yet advocate for themselves. Speaking up for the earth is the same. She cannot speak for herself. Both require long-term care, commitment, love, and it's costly. Remember, even small moments can spark lifelong change. Just as with me as a 12-year-old and a guest speaker in rural Idaho in a library, what can be the moment that you change someone else? I want to leave you with a thought from Neil deGrasse Tyson. He's a famous astrophysicist. He said, "The atoms of our bodies are traceable to the stars that manufactured them." He goes on, "We are not figuratively, but literally stardust." Did you hear that? We are stardust. We are inextricably connected to this earth. You know what else stardust is? It's magical and it's unstoppable, just like us.
Honor for making that amazing speech. Another round of applause, please. And next, I would love to introduce Lexi Tuddenham, the CEO of Heal Utah, to come speak.
What a beautiful day. Well, thank you all so much for being here, and giant kudos to these students for organizing an incredible event that is so needed in this time that feels really dark and really desperate at times. So my name's Lexi Tuddenham, and I'm the Executive Director of the Healthy Environment Alliance of Utah, or HEAL Utah. And we've been around for about 26 years. We actually started out there, past the Pointing Mountain there, past the smelter, out in Grantsville and Tooele, when a group of citizens came together in the late 90s because they were concerned about the health effects they were seeing in their communities that were related to the incineration of chemical weapons, chemical testing, and radioactive fallout from nuclear testing. And so at that time, they organized, they went around and did health surveys, they gathered door-to-door data, and they talked to their neighbors one by one about what they were seeing. There were reproductive health issues, there were cancers, there were diabetic issues, and none of that was being captured in the public record. And so they did it themselves and brought that data together, and they came out there from Tooele, up here to the Capitol, and they got legislators to listen. It took a long time for that incinerator to actually get shut down, but because of the work that those early founders of HEAL did, in that iteration it was called Families Against Incinerator Risk, or FAIR. But because of the work that they did, the chemical weapons destruction pathways became much safer. So just last year, we heard that the last of the US chemical weapons inventory was destroyed. And I think we all felt a moment of a breath of relief, right? It's not something that our generation most recently has to deal with that much, but it is a scourge upon our planet because we are dealing with these chemical pollutants that affect us throughout our lives. So, coming back to HEAL Utah for a second, in the early 2000s, we moved our base to the Wasatch Front and we started working on air quality. And on a day like today, you can really see the true beauty of this valley in a way that doesn't also strike fear into your heart. We're up at the Capitol during the legislative session, the 45 days of intense lobbying and conversations that we have with our legislators up here. And many, many days during that, we cannot see past those buildings right there. And that has real health effects for Utahns, real health effects for the future of our state, and real economic implications for our ability as a state to sustain the people who want to live here. So a little bit about me. I don't like to admit it sometimes, but I grew up in Southern California. I grew up in LA in the 1980s when it was very, very polluted. I've also lived in Kathmandu. I lived in Beijing, China. And then when I was having my first child in 2021, I moved here. And in that first summer, there was one day where I looked at the air quality reporting and it told me that we had the worst air quality in the entire world. And that shook me to my core because I had a 3-month-old at that time and this was what he was breathing. And I'd lived in all these other polluted places, but then I was gonna raise my child here. And so part of my journey at HEAL has been the honor and the privilege and also the heartbreak of working on an issue that is absolutely key to our future. We at HEAL Utah believe that the right to a healthy environment is a basic and fundamental human right. So when we work on clean air, clean energy, and comprehensive solutions to radioactive and toxic exposure, we know that this means our future. And currently, as you all might realize, our future is under attack. There are attacks on human rights of all sorts. There are people being whisked off the streets. There are people who are not able to live their daily lives and come out of their homes and feel safe. But this future, this right to a basic healthy environment, is also a human right. And so what do we do in this moment?
Stand up, fight back.
That's right. One thing I want to know is that this is not new. It might feel uniquely petty, uniquely mean, uniquely illegal in many cases, but many people in this country and around the world have been here before. So we know that it's a long fight. We know that it takes many, many people standing up for decades, we know that the impacts can be really hard to see. One of our founders, Chip Ward, likes to say, it can be hard to see the victories that we have because it is really hard to get regulation passed in a place like Utah. I also fundamentally believe that if we can do it here, we can do it anywhere. So when we look around, right, it's hard to see the nuclear waste dump that isn't there because of the work that we've done. It's hard to see the improvements to air quality and how much it could be, worse it could be, if we hadn't stood up here with thousands of people at many rallies over the years, and with many, many of you by our side. There's so many important organizations here that are doing critical work, and what we are seeing is that this administration is trying to silence them. So why is that? Why is that? It's because they're scared. They know that we have power. They know that we've been here before, and that we have the endurance, and the persistence, and the hardworking ethic to gather together and continue this work. And at every turn, we are going to be obstructing the losses that they are trying to bring upon us. We're going to bring lawsuits. We're going to hold rallies. We're going to have public comments. But over and over again, this work can also be exhausting, and I want to acknowledge that. So, Dr. Ayanna Elizabeth Johnson has a great book out there called What If We Get It Right? And in the last few years, I've really spent my career working on community development and environment. And there's a lot of heartbreak in this work because you're seeing the wounds of a world that you are very much a part of, but that also that you have been told that you are separate from, and that you are harming in some cases by your very existence, because the system is built that way. So going forward, how do we rebuild that relationship? Dr. Ayanna Elizabeth Johnson has this great Venn diagram that is sort of meant to help us refocus, right? Because there can be so much to do, and it feels endless sometimes. So she has these 3 questions. So number 1 is, what are you good at? Right? What communities are you a part of? What do you like to do? And what are you really good at? The second question is, and these are Venn diagrams, so imagine there's a center here. The second question is, what is the work that needs doing? Because there's a lot of different places to put that energy, but you gotta focus, or else we'll get nothing done. And then the final and perhaps most important question for sustaining this movement is, what brings you joy? So at the end of the day, what allows you to get up over and over again and do this really hard and important work? So I think that's a really important thing to look at from a personal level. On the more public-facing community and organizational level, I also want to set forward some steps for what to do in this time. So number 1, you ground yourself down. You find your sense of place. You find the area, the values, the reasons, the issues, the things that you want to fight for, and you find your why. Why am I doing this? For me, it is my kids, my 6-month-old and my 3-year-old. But it's also for myself. It's for this land that I've lived abroad in many places, and what has always brought me back to the US is that these incredible landscapes and these incredible environments that I know I am a part of. And I want to rebuild that relationship and make it better. Number 2, find your people. So that, of course, is finding a community of commonality, but I want to challenge you to stretch beyond that. It's not just the people who are like-minded. It's not just the people who are like you. It's the ones who you can find common ground with across boundaries, who have different backgrounds. So that might be the Uinta Basin oil worker who is working on his master's to study air quality. I've met this person. They're out there. It might be the tribal leader who is fighting for their tribe's existence and the ability to have sovereign control over their own resources. It might be the mom down the street whose car is covered in Trump stickers, but who's really worried about her kid's asthma. So how do you stretch? How do you find the people who are the most impacted and the most vulnerable and say, hey, let's start to have a conversation. Let's find the things that we agree on, even if we can't agree on everything. And then let's build from there. So number 3. So we've had, you ground down, you find your people. Next, you strategize, because you can't do everything all the time. And you have to find the levers and the pressure points where you can actually make change happen. So for me, that might be working at the legislature. When we run into barriers up here and when it feels like we're banging our heads against a wall over and over again, then I turn my attention elsewhere. I go to the municipal. I go to towns where we can get some leverage. I go to community groups. I go to individuals and families and people who really care and who we can find community with. Because we're not alone, and that's what's so key here. They want you to think you're alone. You're not alone. Finally, and probably the hardest part of this, is that you keep at it. I've said this before, that this is not the first time, this won't be the last time. You have to find your sustainability within this movement. And if that means resting, regrouping, and then starting over again, then you do that. But at the same time, it also has to be an adaptive process. So you go through step 3, you go out there, and you send the comment letters, you show up to the rallies, you obstruct, you write op-eds, you do whatever you need to do to get your hands dirty and do the work. But then you reevaluate. Because in many cases, the strategies to extract resources from our environment, the profit-driven motives, those have changed just slightly. So you have to adjust and you have to be smart about it. Then you go back to the work and you do it again. This is the work of a lifetime. There are times when I am working on climate and energy work where I really realize that energy is the issue that keeps us all going. And this work that we are doing right now is never going to be over, but that is a source of hope. It's not a source of despair. And so we at Heal Utah truly believe that we fight because we believe to our core that every Utahn deserves the right to breathe clean air, drink safe water, and thrive on a livable planet free from pollution. We fight for our sense of place and our survival in a beautiful state plagued by a legacy of polluters who have treated it as a sacrifice zone. We fight to build a more resilient, reciprocal relationship with the earth. We fight for our families, our friends, and our communities. And we fight with you at our side because we know that it is the only way that we will succeed together. So please, stand up, join us in all of these groups here to stand up for our environment, our rights, and our future.
If you think this environment is beautiful, look at these mountains. Make some noise! Now, the slogan or the mantra for Earth Day this year is our power, our planet. So let's get it started by just saying that. All right? Say it with me. Our power, our planet. Our power, our planet. Our power, our planet. All right. Now let's do a little, if you're behind me, you say our power. If you're in front of me, you say our planet, all right? Let's get it going. All right.
Our power, our planet. Our power, our planet. Our power, our planet. Our power, our planet. Our power, our planet.
Yeah. All right. Now let's do be brave, speak out. All right? All right, here we go. Be brave, speak out. Be brave, speak out. Be Yeah. All right. Now, let's do a little, just some cheering. All right? Make some noise! That's a hell of a lung capacity right there. Damn. All right, I'm going to say, show me what democracy looks like, and y'all can say, this is what democracy looks like. All right? Show me what democracy looks like.
This is what democracy looks like.
Show me what democracy looks like.
This is what democracy looks like.
Show me what democracy looks like.
This is what democracy looks like.
All right, thank you guys.
That was awesome. Thank you so much, Chant Man. I love seeing democracy right here. Oh my gosh, it's so beautiful. Okay, now I would love to introduce young hero rebels to come and play some music for us.
Is this a good place, landmark?
That's good.
Is that too high?
I think that's good. Am I loud enough? Is this good? Can you hear me? Oh, thank you guys for coming out today. I know that I think that the position we're all in right now, it's easy to feel like environmentalism is not the most important thing. But I think that the idea that I want to get across is that these issues that we're talking about here today, these are long-term issues, and these will last our entire lives and the lives of our descendants for, a very, very long time. Check out this microphone stand. I'm gonna not touch that anymore. Who knows what could happen? I'm also holding a guitar, and I'm gonna play it for you now, because I wrote a few songs for you, so. That good? That's better. With eyes to the sea and hearts to the sky, did it occur to you to be? Will it occur to you to try? They call us roaming free in a cage half our size. Will it occur to you to see? Did it occur to you? I'll try. And I cannot tear down these clouds written out in black letter ink. Cannot reshape your thoughts lost in a blink. And I won't wait for you to call me down, and I won't stand here waiting just to drown. Cause if heaven's got some kind of explanation, we'll let them say why they cut us all right down. Tore up all the papers and the signals that told them when to stop. They replaced the hands of labor with machines they made us watch. If everything we'd ever done was all for nothing, I'd do it all again without a thought. And I won't wait for you to call me down. And I won't stand here waiting just to drown. Cause if heaven's got some kind of explanation, let them say why they cut us all right down. And I won't wait for you to call me down. And I won't stand here waiting just to drown. Cause if heaven has got some kind of explanation, let them say why they cut us all right. Built for you a city off the coast of California, with legs that stretch from sea to sea. Would you stay? Thank you. Okay, so Earth Day is not today, as it turns out. But, you know, as we were talking about earlier, Earth Day, you know, dating back to early 1970s, it was a bigger social movement than just a holiday, right? It's kind of what we have today, right? Evolving into this culture of environmentalism. And they wrote a bunch of really good music back in the 70s. I'm sure some of you remember that. And I'm gonna sing one of them for you. And I know that if you're over the age of 40, you know the words, so you have no excuse not to sing with me. The song is called Big Yellow Taxi. They paved paradise, put up a parking lot. See, you know it. Thank you. Okay. No, I'll sing the whole thing, don't worry. I had to check if you knew it. They paved paradise, put up a parking lot, with a pink hotel, a boutique, and a swinging hot spot. Don't it always seem to go that you don't know what you've got till it's gone? They paved paradise, put up a parking lot. They took all the trees and they put them in a tree museum. They charged the people $1.50 just to see them. Don't it always seem to go that you don't know what you got till it's gone? They paved paradise, put up a parking lot. Hey farmer, farmer, put away that DDT now. Give me spots on my apples and leave me the birds and the bees. Please, don't it always seem to go that you don't know what you've got till it's gone? They paved paradise, put up a parking lot. Last night, I heard the screen door slam, and a big yellow taxi took away my old man. Don't it always seem to go that you don't know what you've got till it's gone? They paved paradise, put up a parking lot. They paved paradise, put up a parking lot. I want to thank Grace for organizing this. She's been so helpful and so kind to me as well. So thank you, everyone. Thank you, Grace.
You're so welcome.
And, you know, I think it's easy for us to be in a position where we feel hopeless. But the fact that we're all here today shows that we kind of care, at least a little. And one idea that I kind of want to get across to everyone is sort of the notion of blame. Because the fact is that, we've been working really, really hard for many generations to improve our lives and improve the natural world and to restore it back to what it was before we started messing everything up. And the fact is, I think we all understand a lot of the causes of these things. And it's not just the fault of the government, who is, having the largest repeal of environmental regulations in our history. And that's what I like to hear. Thank you. And it's not just the fault of industries and corporations who abuse our labor for our own destruction. And I think that it comes down to larger things than this. It comes down to our social systems. And I understand that there's a lot of hesitation toward reforming things and towards changing things. But the way that I see it, it's a little illogical not to want to, because these systems which destroy our planet are incompatible with our own lives. We can't tear down the walls and expect the roof to remain. And I think the fact is that if we want to protect and preserve our planet, we need to work towards dismantling a lot of the capitalist systems that we have put ourselves in, that have led to this position we're in. Thank you. Because the bottom line is that this is not just about the world around us, this is about our lives. It's not just the world that's dying, this is killing us. And we can work toward a better future because we're here today. It starts with this. It starts with building community. It starts with allocating resources. It starts with giving to others through the systems that we create as a people. And and the fact is, this terrible position we're in now in America in many different ways, it's like we serve a sentence living here. But the fact is that if we have to serve this sentence, I would rather we spend it creating a world that's actually worth dying for. Because I'd rather we be remembered for the things we do now than the people that we failed to become. And I'll play one more song for you. And this song kind of speaks to that idea I said earlier about how it's not just the world around us that's dying. This is hunting us. The song is called Rabbit Season. Feel the same way I did yesterday. Maybe it was something that I drank. And I just called to say what I did yesterday. I found myself with bullets and a blank. A rabbit in the woods, couldn't kill it if I could. Fed it a raspberry, they built a factory. I really gotta know, there's got to be a reason. Our luck has all run cold, it's more than rabbit season. And I don't feel the same since the forest's all burned down. Heavy is the burden, and heavy is the crown. I built for us a rocket to take us to the stars. I light the fuse behind us and melt away our hearts. Like a rabbit in the woods, couldn't kill it if I could. Fed it a raspberry, we built a factory. I really gotta know, there's got to be a reason our luck is all run dry. It's more than rabbit season. I really gotta know, there's got to be a reason our luck is all run cold. It's only rabbit season. Thank you.
Been on the board for about 8 years now. What an honor to come here and speak to like-minded people today. I wish there were the not like-minded people here as well, but here we all are. A little personal anecdote. Last night, my daughter surprised me coming home from the dorms at the University of Utah to say, I need a quiet place to finish one of my essays for my finals. So we're just chit-chatting a little bit about the weekend, and she's like, what are you going to do this weekend? I said, well, I'm going to go to the Capitol and talk a little bit for UPHE about some health effects of losing our Great Salt Lake. And she's like, wait, I'm going to a protest rally at the Capitol. And I said, that's amazing. We're going to the same thing. And while we've had lots of protest rallies here recently, and we've needed lots of protest rallies, I said, I kind of don't think of this as a protest rally today. I think of it as a celebration. This is a celebration rally of our beautiful Mother Earth. So anyway, a little personal aside. She might be right behind me, so okay. Anyways, I want to briefly touch on, such a relatively small but such an inordinately important part of our Earth, and it is the Great Salt Lake. We are so blessed and honored to have this body of water next to us. So I want to talk a little bit about its importance and the health effects if we ever lost it. When I moved to Salt Lake City in 1994, the magnificence of this Great Salt Lake was a little bit lost on me, I'll be honest. I literally grew up on the shore of Lake Superior in Duluth, Minnesota, so this just kind of seemed like a smelly, briny something else. Just didn't really seem like anything of importance. Of course, life and time educated me differently, and now I understand the astounding importance of this beautiful body of water and why it's so vital and connected to our individual health and to the health of our community. So, if we continue to see the shrinking of the Great Salt Lake, I just want to kind of lay out some of the things that we're concerned about on our board. As you can just even visually look over there, the dust swirling around there, the more that's exposed of the bed lake, there's going to be more toxic dust in our air, lead, arsenic, and other heavy metals. Boo. The dust itself, it's a PM 2.5 fine particulate that is contributing to our air pollution. There is just not one part of our own individual body that does not get affected from the air pollution. So be it, of course, when you're talking about lung disorders, asthma, any other underlying lung disease, heart disease, long-term exposures to things that give you cancer, neurocognitive development. We see higher rates of autism. We see higher rates of mental health issues with anxiety and depression. We see lower birth rates. We see lower fertility rates. I mean, there's just not a part of the body that it doesn't hit. So it's so important that we understand why we need to care for this Great Salt Lake. Just from a mental health standpoint, if we are to lose this Great Salt Lake that we look to for beauty, recreation, migration of birds, it's not to be lessened that we would just the loss of the mental health of losing our lake. And the drinking water that we count on, 10% of our snowpack comes from the Great Salt Lake effect, and we cannot lose that precious drinking water in our community. So this is just a couple things that I wanted to outline about why it is so important that we do come together, we stand together, and we all get involved in the ways that make sense for us. And my colleague here, Dr. Henley, will go on to talk a little bit more about our organization and some of the policy we've been implementing.
Okay, good day, everyone. Good Earth Day, everyone. Every day is Earth Day for Utah Physicians for a Healthy Environment. Physicians spend most and sometimes all of their lives committed to education, residency training, and caring for members in our community so that they can be healthy humans. Who wants to be a healthy human? I want to be a healthy human. Well, in order to be healthy humans, we need a healthy environment to live in. Hence, Utah Physicians for a Healthy Environment. I'm Dr. Courtney Henley, and I serve on the board of Utah Physicians for a Healthy Environment. UPHE is committed to promoting the health and well-being of the residents of Utah by promoting science-based education and interventions that result in progressive, measurable improvements to the environment. That is our mission. We have a motto: we educate. So today I'm educating the educators. You guys know we need the environment to be healthy humans. Is that right? We need a healthy environment. We also advocate, and I've heard a lot of advocacy today, and these are all advocacy organizations here, including UPHE. We are interest groups interested in changing our government for the better so that it makes decisions that improve the health of ourselves and our communities. So, woot woot, we educate, we advocate, and then sometimes it gets fun and spicy when we litigate. Sometimes you gotta litigate, and we know doctors love lawyers, so we love to team up and get our government representatives to do better things. So right now there's two campaigns of litigation, and litigation is nice because education, sometimes your government representative, your senator or city councilor is in a good mood and they're interested and they want to be educated. Sometimes they're too busy. They got too many people shouting at them about too many things. Advocacy is very effective if your government representative is in a good mood, and they might be receptive to your advocacy. But litigation always raises a person's eyebrows because it's about money, which we're here today about the environment, but let's face it, a lot of the world out there, money is the number one thing. So you can really get someone's attention when you're talking about the people's money. UPHE, along with some of our coalition partners, is suing the state of Utah to prioritize health of Great Salt Lake, to prioritize the health of her waters, of her air, of the waters that flow into her, of the wetlands. And the state is responding to our lawsuit, and we hope that what they're gonna do is make new laws to help Great Salt Lake. And that's why we're here today at the Temple to Democracy, our gorgeous Capitol building in Salt Lake City, and thanks everyone for coming. This is where we worship at the altar of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And this is where laws are made. And so that is why UPHE really likes to come to the Capitol steps to talk about how we can have better laws to help with our health. The other lawsuit that we're engaged in right now is to stop the Utah Inland Port Authority. Sometimes, if you're familiar with the Utah Inland Port Authority, it is basically a corrupt entity that takes our money, our good tax money that we pay, hoping that the government will help us create a healthy environment, help us to live healthy lives, and they use it to give to their buddies that know, who's who in the Capitol. And they really support fossil fuel development. It is at its heart a fossil fuel entity. And we know that burning fossil fuels, there's tens of thousands of studies that tell us that burning fossil fuels is bad for our health. Just this past week, the administration in the White House, especially the executive branch, which I think probably all agree here is very bad right now, making very bad decisions for our health. They have greenlighted the development of more fossil fuel utilization in the United States, making it easier to burn fossil fuels. That just makes it easier to make people sick. So that's bad policy. In the New England Journal of Medicine, where if I'm going to get my health advice, are you going to get it from the White House? No. Might you take some health advice from the New England Journal of Medicine? Yes. I would take that advice. There is a huge article this year that we continue to burn fossil fuels at our own peril. It sacrifices every aspect of health important to a human. Most importantly, our clean water that we drink, our clean air that we breathe, and our healthy food that we eat. So that's why insider jobs like the Utah Inland Port Authority is bad for Utah, it's bad for the residents, it's bad for our health and well-being, and that's why UPHE is suing to stop the Utah Inland Port Authority. So what can we do today? Well, I'm preaching to the choir because we're all here to love our planet and love our environment and love being healthy humans. And advocacy is the best thing that we can do at this level. So please take time to look at all the wonderful advocacy interest groups here. Utah Physicians for a Healthy Environment, Heal Utah, SUWA, the Sierra Club, Grow the Flow. Get on one of those email lists, and the next time they tell you, hey, call your city councilor, your mayor, your state senator, your representative, the governor, call any of them, all of them, and advocate for laws, to enact laws, and to enforce laws that make our environment more healthy. Even though I serve on the board of UPHE, did this, I'm on an email list for UPHE. I recommend that you get on it. And I was at home one morning and I got an email. The Utah Inland Port Authority Board is meeting today at the Capitol in room 345. And because I got that email, I'm like, oh wow, I don't have anything going on today. I'm gonna go to that meeting. And I gave public comment. I saw the corruption in action. I saw them giving away our money. I saw them giving lip service to they want a clean environment, but it's clear that they don't. So again, I encourage you, get on an email list of an organization that's important to you, and the next time you get that hot news in the email to call your representative, please do so that we can have a healthy environment, so we can be healthy, happy humans. Thank you so much.
Creek. I also represent areas of Salt Lake City, all of the Sugar House area. I represent all of South Salt Lake, a lot of Murray, and a little bit of West Valley City. So I moved to Utah in 2009. I moved here because at its best, Utah is an incredible place to live and to recreate. There's no better place to be if you value access to the outdoors. And so a few years ago, I started working in the clean energy industry. The organization that I worked for brought together wind and solar companies, along with environmental nonprofits, so like some of the groups that are out here today, to promote sustainable energy policies across the West, something we need to still be working very dearly on. So I ran for office because I felt a responsibility to bring a voice to the legislature that was focused on doing the right thing for future generations, because everyone deserves to experience the same natural beauty that we're getting to enjoy today on a beautiful day like this. So it is a pleasure to be here with you all, with like-minded folks celebrating Earth Day. I want to bring you some perspective from the legislature. So we hear a lot about what's going on at the federal level, all sorts of stuff that's happening, but a lot of times I feel like the legislature, the state politics get kind of swept under the rug a bit. So I'm always trying to elevate our profile, because there's a lot of things happening that don't always get tracked as closely as I would like them to be. So the perspective from the legislature, it's not as pretty as our beautiful state, I will say that. Every session, Republicans in the supermajority come up with some more ridiculous ideas to screw up the good things that we've got going on here in Utah. lately, they have been calling our approach to energy production all of the above, whatever that means. It would be one thing if they actually did mean that and we were focused on a real diversity of resources, but in practice, what's happening is they are tamping down the stuff that they don't like and propping up the resources that they do like. The best example to me came from this past session when Representative Schneider passed a bill that puts a tax on wind and solar energy only to pay for the impacts that fossil fuel production has on endangered species. I'm not making that up. That wasn't how he described it on the floor while it was being debated, but it was the message that came out from the Utah Petroleum Association after the session. So that's a typical tactic. It pitted the wildlife conservation groups against clean energy advocates, which was really frustrating to see. It split up the opposition, lied about the intent of the bill, and it's going to make renewable energy more expensive for everyone. It actually has a retroactive impact, so the existing wind and solar we have here in the state is actually going to get more expensive. It's going to lead to higher bills for everyone, and despite us preaching all the time about having cheaper energy here in Utah. So we see bills passed each year that gut important regulations protecting air and water quality, our land here in the state, and things have gotten even worse as the Trump administration attacks environmental defenders and promotes volatile and expensive fossil fuels. So what's also notable that I'm sure many of you are attuned with is the lack of action on certain issues, on many issues. Specifically what I'm talking about, you can probably all guess, is the Great Salt Lake, our lovely lake over there. So I want to take notice of what's happening right now or what's not happening right now. Without really addressing the major water users in this state, namely agriculture and particularly alfalfa. We know that's 70 to 80% of our water use. We're not going to be able to make progress on addressing the low lake levels without giving those things a serious consideration. So we need to focus on solving the problem rather than just Band-Aid fixes. We have seen a greater focus on the impacts of dust, which is critically important, but the legislature didn't allocate anywhere near enough funding this year to actually pay for the monitors that we need to understand what's going on, and we are ignoring the fact that mitigation costs many times what it would cost to actually fix the problem once and for all, but that would come at the expense of a few favored constituents, even though it would help the millions of Utahns who live in the most impacted Wasatch Front communities, the communities that I represent. So we've got a lot of work to do. I want to congratulate you all for coming out today. This is, the first step. Yeah. This is a great step to take. Rallies and protests are fantastic to get people excited, to find community with like-minded people. So really love to see folks out at these sort of things. But what we need for you to do in the future is to sign up, to serve on boards and commissions, to get involved in local community councils, PTAs, or even run for office yourself. Please, we need more good folks. Don't wait your turn. That's something I learned. I ran against an incumbent who'd been in office for 36 years, and if I'd have waited, he might have still been here. And we need new voices working on these problems that are emerging every day. Yeah. So just, find something that you think needs fixing and get to work and try your best to fix it. That's kind of the approach that I've taken. So that's really all I'm doing, and hopefully, as I conveyed today, I could use a whole lot of help because Utah is worth fighting for, and I promise you, the things that are happening up here at the Capitol are only popular with lobbyists and big oil and gas companies. We need action that's actually working for the people. So get yourself involved. Find a cause that is pushing our politicians like me to be better. Help me do the best I can do to make sure that Utah is a better place for future generations and a better place than what we're seeing right now and the damage that's being done right now, because we don't have a whole lot of time to really take important steps to address the Great Salt Lake, to address the impact on our snowpack, on a whole raft of other issues that we're seeing negative action on right now. So would love for y'all to get involved. Thank you.
Guys, this is so awesome. I just want to say, like, what a privilege to give in any sort of a platform. This is so amazing. I see so many people that I love and care about, and this is just so awesome. Thank you so much. Again, my name is Alta Fairbourne. I'm a student at the University of Utah, graduating next week with my degree in sociology. Yep. And I've spent my last school year working at the Utah Rivers Council, learning all about water governance in Utah and the mechanisms behind the Great Salt Lake crisis. We gather here a couple days after Earth Day to honor its beginning. But we need to remember here that Earth Day was not designed as a corporate greenwashing opportunity or a shallow moment of celebration. It was, from the beginning, an act of resistance. In 1970, over 20 million Americans took to the streets to demand that their government stop poisoning them in the service of industry. 50 years later, and the resistance still wages on. Today, our biggest fight as Utahns is to save ourselves in the face of a declining Great Salt Lake, the largest remaining wetland ecosystem in the West, a cultural icon and the namesake of where we stand. The lake, which is slipping away due to over-diversion on the rivers that feed it, has become a ticking time bomb for a public health crisis that we are not prepared for. And what has the state done in response? Since hitting historic lows, the Utah legislature has secured less than 100,000 acre-feet of water yearly for additional water flow to the lake. To put that figure into perspective, if we wanted to restore the Great Salt Lake to a healthy elevation of 4,200 feet in 20 years, we would need about 10 times that amount every year, 10 times that amount. If we did everything right now, I wouldn't be 42 until I saw a healthy lake. We are not doing enough. And although the Great Salt Lake is undoubtedly the biggest crisis we face here as Utahns and in the larger West, the lake's decline is merely smoke to the fire. The fire is the broken story that we're living inside. A story that tells us that domination is natural, that extraction is progress, and that we are separate from each other and from the earth. The real fire is that the public is up against a power structure supposedly designed by them and for them. We are up against a state government dominated by a supermajority where lawmakers bow their heads to special interests and block dissent. A system fueled by secrecy, cowardice, indifference, and greed. Boo! Let's be blunt. Democracy is being eroded, and it is not by accident, it is by design. The media is captured by private power, and they tell us everything is gonna be all right. We are told that the state has a plan to raise the Great Salt Lake water levels, and that the lake is being saved. Even as they pass legislation to turn the North Arm into dust, even as they continue to keep water, which they preach is so scarce, priced at some of the cheapest water rates in the entire country. Even as they overcollect on property taxes to fund unelected water district employees' egregious salaries, even as they continue to collect $7 million of our taxpayer dollars each year to advance Bear River development, a disastrous water diversion project on the Great Salt Lake's main tributary. Does that sound like a plan to you guys? Does that sound like a plan to you guys? There is no question that we can save the Great Salt Lake. We have the policy tools. We have the knowledge. Guys, the science is so clear. The real question is, will we have the ethical courage to stand up against special interests and a powerful system that profits from environmental destruction? In Utah especially, and especially us women, we are taught to be agreeable, to keep our voices soft, our criticisms to ourselves. We are taught that politeness is a virtue, that obedience is strength, and that challenging authority makes you ungrateful, impolite, or worse, radical. We are led to believe that being radical is dangerous, but there is nothing more dangerous than a society that shames radicalism when that is the most rational response to an action and injustice. That is the most rational response. What we lack is not solutions. It's a culture that values dissent, that invites critique, that amplifies the voices of the unheard and the most affected. Last session, I testified in a committee meeting for my very first time against a bill that attempted to strip away critical protections from Utah's official water policy. I was scared shitless. I was standing here in front like this, shaking the entire time. I certainly didn't go into it knowing everything about the bill and all the intricacies behind it. But you do not wait around for courage to come to you or for certainty to come to you before deciding to do something scary. Courage is something that grows within you when you decide to do something scary. Even though you don't have courage, it grows within you. You can't expect for it to come around beforehand. Courage is to fight for a better future without the promise of one. And change happens when 1 million people show up imperfectly. At the Utah Rivers Council, we've built a campaign called the 4200 Project, a roadmap and a set of policy solutions to restore the Great Salt Lake to a healthy elevation. In 2023, alongside Senator Blouin's help, we ran the first step of this plan, which was an unbinding resolution to get the state to set an elevation goal for the lake. It didn't even make it out of committee, with Governor Cox calling it a dumb thing. Does that sound like a plan? It sounds like to me they have a plan to drain the Great Salt Lake. We will not be able to enact these policies on our own. We need your help to hold Utah's leaders accountable for implementing these measures to dedicate water to the Great Salt Lake. To learn more about our plan, visit 4200project.org. Again, 4200project.org, or you can come stop by our table. I would be happy to talk to any of you guys. Read our manual, read our plan, and learn what's possible. Getting to know your local government and Utah legislators is another amazing step. Start with an email introducing yourself and let them know what you stand for. And if you're ready, exercise your courage and show up at the Capitol to help us lobby and testify and give public comment. This interim session is starting right now, and we're gonna need you guys this next general session. So let's remember moving forward what Earth Day was really about. It was about resistance. So let's refuse to let another Earth Day pass in silence, and remember that resistance is what began in 1970, and that resistance is far from over. Thank you guys so much. Keep fighting the good fight.
Another applause for Alta. Isn't she amazing? Thank you so much, every single one of you, for showing up today. It means the world. It really does. It really means the world and the fate of humanity, you guys showing up today. It brings hope to every single one of us. And I cannot thank you much for your attendance. That is the end of our speakers and musical performances. If you'd like, there's still tabling over here. Please, feel free. Please do this, actually. Talk to everybody around you, your neighbors here tonight. Talk to people about why they showed up, why they care, and what they're gonna do. Learn about how you can get involved with our local government and with our local environment, and stand up for it, and stand up for the future of the next generations. It's that important. It's that fundamental. I cannot thank you all enough so much. I can't thank you enough. This event is the one of many. Salt Lake, we need to keep having these Earth Action rallies. This is what Earth Day is all about. Thank you so much for showing up. Please leave this event and be an act of change. Be the change you want to see in the world. Remember, our power, our planet. Thank you so much, Salt Lake City. And no, I'm just a student at the University of Utah, and I planned this. I don't know what I'm doing. You guys can do this too. You guys can make a difference. Don't belittle yourself. You have the power.
Charlie's videotaping was pretty good too. Don't forget about that, man. Yeah. Now scream something passionate.
Yes.
Good B-roll.
Yes, wait, keep on doing it.